Alright, so we've already, at this point in the year, we've discussed nouns, we've discussed verbs, the basic parts of speech, parts of a sentence. Now we need to get into the descriptive words. And this lesson is going to be about adjectives. And adjectives make objects and people and places come to life. And you'll see how in a second. So adjectives are the words that really make writing cool. They make writing descriptive. They make writing fun. Without adjectives, everything would be very boring and very, very hard to visualize. So simply put, this is definitely what you need to write down. It's the definition of an adjective. Adjective is a word that describes a noun or a pronoun. So a couple examples here. So I'll give you a couple sentences. The red ball bounced down the bumpy driveway. And actually, I need to expand this because the is also an adjective. And there are types of adjectives called articles, so we'll talk about that second. The red is describing the ball. The bumpy is describing the driveway. The hungry is describing the players. The stinky locker is describing what type of a room it was. It's a stinky locker room. And a tasty snack is describing, or a tasty is describing snacks. So the are the articles that are adjectives, but also these describing words: red, bumpy, hungry, stinky. Locker is describing what type of room it is. A tasty. If we just took the adjectives away, the describing adjectives, we would still have sentences. I could say the ball bounced down the driveway. I could say the players ran into the room after practice for a snack. But without the adjectives, I'm missing something. I'm not getting the full description of what's going on. So adjectives describe nouns and pronouns. Okay, so in a second I just want you to pause the video and write down as many adjectives, 4 or 5, to describe this. This is obviously snow. So maybe on the margin of your paper or at the bottom or something, write down some adjectives to describe snow. And then in a minute I will give you some also. Alright, so if you're ready, here's some adjectives I use that can describe snow. Snow can be white, it can be cold, snow can be fluffy, it can be wet, snow can be heavy. And there are literally hundreds more ways you can describe snow, and all those things that describe the object snow are adjectives. Another example would be grass. So again, just pause the video real quick, write down 4 or 5 things that you could use to describe grass. So I came up with a few. Grass can be green, it can be brown if it's dead. Grass can be short. Grass can be soft, like on a baseball field or a golf course. Grass can be dry if it needs water. Again, those are all words that describe grass, so those would all be adjectives. So the concept of adjectives seems pretty simple to start. Okay, they're words that describe nouns and pronouns. But it gets a little bit more complicated. Adjectives can be positive, comparative, and superlative. And all of those adjectives that we just used previously were all positive. They just all are words that simply describe a single noun. But we can change the form of an adjective. So adjectives can also compare nouns. We usually compare 2 nouns by using an adjective with ER on it. Like, the weather is colder than it was yesterday. I would be comparing 2 nouns, today and yesterday. We compare nouns, or we compare more than 2 nouns by using words that end with est. So just write this down, and then you'll see some examples. Now, if an adjective is longer, like beautiful or handsome, even though handsome is not 3 syllables, we will say more and most instead of adding er and est. So just write this down. It might seem confusing for a second, and then we're going to see some examples of this in work, of positive, comparative, and superlative. So simply put, positive is the simplest form of an adjective. Let's take the adjective tall. That's a word that can describe a person. If you're just talking about one person, he is tall. Boom, tall. Now if I'm comparing people, that's the comparative form. Let's say I'm comparing 2 people. I could say that Mr. Lane is taller than Mr. Hayden. Taller, now I'm comparing 2 people, so you add that er to the end. Let's say I had 3 teachers. Mr. Sweet is the tallest of all the teachers. I get 3 or more. Mr. Sweet is the tallest of all the teachers. Now I take that form tall, I add est to it. That's the superlative form. So if you're comparing 3 or more things, you use that superlative form. Add est or er for comparative. So somewhere on a piece of paper or somewhere you need to write this down. This is your practice for adjectives. I want you to write down these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 adjectives. Red, tiny, soft, beautiful, large, and difficult. Those are adjectives that can describe things. I want you to take them and change their forms. Take the positive red and change it to compare and change it to superlative. So I'll give you one as an example, then you need to pause it and do the rest. If I'm comparing two things, I could say that tomato is redder than the other tomato, comparing two tomatoes. I could say this tomato is the reddest tomato of all, so I add that est. So take tiny, soft, beautiful, large, and difficult and change those. So go ahead and pause the video, restart it after you do that. Alright, here we go. So tiny, comparative is tinier, superlative is tiniest. If you spelled it wrong this time, not a big deal, but hopefully you added er and est. Soft, if I'm comparing two things, softer, softest, if I'm comparing 3 or more. Now beautiful, we don't say beautifuler. We say she is more beautiful, or this is the most beautiful. We don't say beautifulest. Large, we go larger, largest. Difficult, more difficult, most difficult, not difficulter and difficultest. So that's how you change to compare 1, 2, or 3 nouns or pronouns. So moving on, a and an, and even the, I should add the in here. A, an, and the. Add it right now. A, an, and the are adjectives, because they're limiting adjectives, or they're articles is sometimes what they're called, because they limit whatever the adjective is talking about. So for instance, if I say go get a box, that means you're getting a single box or a particular box. You're not getting a whole bunch of boxes. A obviously comes before consonants. I would say and before vowels. So if I said go get an orange for me, you're getting 1 orange. Or if I say go get the pen, there's probably a specific pen that I want you to get. So they're called articles, but an article is a type of adjective. So anytime I ask you to find adjectives in sentences, if you see a, an, or the, those are articles or adjectives. Now, adjectives can also be proper, just like nouns. We have proper nouns, like a place would be a proper noun. And sometimes we describe things based on where they come from. So a proper adjective would get a capital letter. So food that comes from Italy is called Italian food. Italian is an adjective describing the food. Food that comes from China is Chinese food. Chinese is the adjective describing the food. So these both get capital letters. Pretty much if a place can be used to describe something, when you make it that, you still give it a capital letter and it is an adjective. So if something is from Ireland, it's Irish. If something is from Hawaii, it's Hawaiian. If something is from Michigan, it's Michiganian. Those are all describing words. Those all are adjectives, and they still get capital letters. And the last thing in adjectives that we need to understand is adjectives can be demonstrative, which means they point out specifics. So this is my favorite pen. This is describing the pen. That paper is hard to understand. So this and that and these and those are demonstrative adjectives. Them is not. Them is a pronoun. It is never an adjective. So you don't say them dogs. It'd be these dogs or those dogs. This, that, and I should put these. This, that, these, and those are demonstrative adjectives because they're pointing out a specific person or a specific thing. So anytime you see those in sentences, you should identify those as adjectives as well. Alright, so what you'll want to do here is we're going to have a couple practice activities. Write these 5 sentences down. and find all of the adjectives in the sentence. Do not identify nouns or verbs or anything else, just the adjectives. So first find the nouns and then find the words that are describing the nouns. So go ahead, write those down, pause the video, and when you're ready for answers, hit play. Alright, here we go. Jimmy quickly ran. If you identified quickly, that is not an adjective. That's not describing Jimmy. That's describing how he ran, and ran as a verb. So in this one, it should be beautiful. That's the only adjective in that sentence. Number 2, he threw the is an adjective. Furry is describing. Even tennis is describing what type it is of ball it is. So the, furry, and tennis are all describing the ball. The white is describing the wall. So all of those words here are adjectives. Number 3, Jamie ate 3 yummy cookies. Words describing cookies. 3 tells you how many there are. Yummy is telling you what they tasted like. 3 and yummy are both adjectives. Number 4, Mike's hair is shorter than John's. Only one here, and it's comparing Mike and John, and it's shorter. Number 5, Adrian makes amazing goals in soccer. What type of goals does he make? He makes amazing goals. So those are the 5 adjectives in these sentences. Or the adjectives in these 5 sentences, sorry. Alright, for this activity you need to write down these 5 sentences, but leave a little space in here where you see the white space. Bill is tall than Alex is not the correct adjective. So you need to add something to, or before, or after to make this correct. So go ahead and write those down, add something to these things, and then hit play when you are ready. Alright, for number 1, we say Bill is taller than Alex. Number 2, Alex is shorter than June. I'm still just comparing 2. 3, we're going to assume there's probably more than 2 people in June's class, so June is the tallest in her class. Number 4, again, we're assuming there's more than 2 boys in the class. Bill is the tallest boy. Number 5, but Alex is the friend, we could say friendliest, or most friendly. Either one I believe I would count as okay, but again, for the longer adjectives, sometimes you add more and most before those. Alright, so that's it. That's what you need to know for adjectives, so you can go ahead and complete the packet. We will have a quiz on sometime in December, and you should have it on your packet when that quiz will be, and we will obviously go over this before the quiz in class also. So use the video, and good luck.